Here's the thing with selling, especially in the beginning, you very often feel nervous. Not only when you're selling your first coaching package, but also when you're selling your first high ticket coaching package. And you get this icky, sticky, uncomfortable feeling because many coaches think selling their coaching package means selling themselves. And they worry if they come across as salesy, as annoying, or as pushy. So we want to make sure after this video, you feel a lot more confident in yourself and a lot more comfortable selling your first coaching package or your first high ticket coaching package. Because the reality is many coaches struggle with getting leads, with promoting their business, and eventually also signing up clients. And very often this is the reason is a lack of confidence in themselves. And they have this thought that I've never coached somebody, so who am I to promise a certain result? Or how can I receive money for something that I actually not completely sure that I can actually deliver the result? So they get in this mindset of, I have to give everything away for free, so people actually sign up with me. Or they start this crazy journey of building a website, building an email list, maybe going on other platforms. So they try to build this massive sales process just to essentially get away more and more from the actual selling. And the reality is, getting more comfortable with selling means practice, routine, experience, and in the beginning, trust in yourself. Because no sales process has ever been improved by making it more complicated. Instead, we need to simplify the process, especially in the beginning. When we are very new, we have to be on the point exactly of who we want to work with. So the message, the clarity is so important for our confidence. And Hilde, our amazing guest, will talk about this a lot more, but I want to make sure that I'm not wasting your time. So this video is for you. If you're ready to become a high-ticket coach or become a coach that actually tries to sell, even though they might not feel 100% confident, because they know only by having the experience, by putting themselves out there and trying it, they can gain the confidence in themselves because they promised themselves that they would do it, and they showed them that they can survive their first sales process. And what I also need you to do, if you want to get the most out of this conversation, is to practice. What we are talking about is a recipe, but you have to start cooking it. You have to implement it. And we are probably just wasting your time when you're waiting for the one final magic phrase that Hilde is going to share, and then all clients will just fall for you. And if you think meaningful work means it needs to be complicated and complex and you need all the things, when in reality, simplicity and laser focus on what you're actually offering is the key. But I've talked a ton already, and I'm actually interested, and we are actually much more interested in what has Hilde has to say. So this confidence thing, how did you come up with these solutions, Hilde?
I have been in sales for 10 to 12 years. I started with zero confidence myself. But what I noticed was that the more I just practiced and the more I just jumped into it, my confidence grew. So that is what I like my program is aiming for is okay, yeah, I'm going to help you to create a 4-figure offer and sell it, but my program helps you to build your confidence with selling. That's it. You have exercises, practices that you have to do. But the goal here is to increase your confidence.
Yeah. And one of the big feedback that we got from our last conversation was the idea and the simplicity of building your confidence by learning and practicing how to introduce yourself. And I wanted to pick up on this topic, but before we go into actual practices, can you tell us a little bit more? Why do you think nutrition coaches or coaches in general feel so uncomfortable selling their services? And how can they get people to actually buy from them when they're still feeling nervous?
Selling is very uncomfortable for everyone. But you have to also realize that if you have a business, your business is relying on your ability to sell. So in one way or the other, you have to get uncomfortable and just jump into it and learn how to sell. Because if you do not sell, you do not generate any revenue and you are out of business, right? But how can you get people to buy? The first thing that I always say to my clients that you have to practice on being clear in your communication, because confused clients or prospects do not buy. So you have to be clear on who you are, what you do, what the problem is, and how you're going to help. That's the first thing you have to start with. So that's very, very key. And also just start to network, start to talk to people, make contacts, and practice your speech that way. Make friends, not aim to sell, but just start to talk to people and introduce yourself. So that's the first step.
Yeah. So I want to play this a little bit now. I'm introverted, and I get here on this level that I have to put myself out there.
Yeah.
I get it, but still I have this tension. I'm just. How would you help me just do it? Because it's so easy to say, you have to put yourself out there, and you have to. You don't get any revenue. I mean, if I want to be a rebel, then say, screw you. I will not go in the business then, if that's what I. How can you help somebody who feels so much resistance around the idea of putting themselves out there?
You mean as an introvert or in general?
Introvert. Let's start with an introvert, because that's more than my nature.
You're also it has to be said that selling is a part of the package. So it's very difficult to put yourself out there, but if you are so passionate about what you do, I'm sorry to say it, but selling is just a part of the package that you have to learn. But it also has to be said that some of the best sellers are introverts. So why is that? Because they listen more than they talk. So extroverts, they talk. But introverts, they just sit back and listen what the client says. And if you listen carefully, the client will tell you exactly how you can sell them your service and your program. So I think that's very, very key as well. So how to be comfortable with that is just create a routine that you're comfortable with and stick to that every time. And you also start very simple. It's I tell my clients, book a Zoom call with someone that you want to create a connection with. Just start there. And just don't have any don't aim to sell anything, but just book a call just to make an introduction of yourself, to practice just how are you going to articulate what you do, how you help, and what your goals are. Just trying to make a conversation. And it's actually very interesting to see the feedback from my clients around that exercise. So that's a very simple way to just start. Very carefully, book a call just to talk.
Yeah, I love it how you break this down into actually small steps. And many of the PN coaches know this language of actually you're breaking this huge process of selling down into small skills. We talked last time about how to develop your introduction skill, how to be clear here. And now you're building this next skill of just asking somebody for a Zoom call.
Yeah.
And another practice that I actually see here is this: you're independent of the outcome. You're not sitting there hoping, praying, please become my client. You just want to be this cool coach that wants to connect, collaborate, to help, maybe just share a couple of tips. So I really love the idea of how you approach it.
Yeah, good. It's very effective, I have to say. Somebody say, "Oh, isn't that like very stupid?" But then they come back afterward and say, "But like this really helped me. It like lifted, like it took some weight off my shoulders." They see that it's not dangerous, and you get to practice as well. Practice your speech and how to communicate, and you can hear what you're saying and how you present yourself.
Yeah, and there's another story behind this. Oh, I don't think like, oh, can I do this? Can I do that? What I very often hear is this: I don't want to be annoying. I don't want to bother them. Do you know where this comes from, and maybe how we can overcome this idea of, oh, I don't want to be bothering them, annoying them, or just being, yeah.
Yeah.
Where does it come from?
The fear of being rejected
Mhm.
is a very scary thought for many people. But unfortunately, in sales, you just have to get used to the answer no. And the more times you get used to it, you don't care about it anymore, because you're yeah, it's just a part of the process. But many people, like, they fear of just like going out there and because they give so much of themselves, because what you do when you sell is you selling yourself. So selling yourself also mean, when you get no, it means is no to you. So I think that's is the fear of being rejected that has so many people scared about reaching out and being annoying. But it's just a part of the game. But you don't have to cold, like it's how cold, like going to someone's DM and asking for
Yeah.
a deal when you don't know them. It's not that. It's not that. I'm teaching my clients to have the relationship is priority number one.
Mhm, mhm.
Do not talk about your offer that way. You talk about your offer in your content, and you build a relationship in your DMs and through like sales calls or Zoom calls or stuff like that. So yeah.
One of the first sales coaches that I had when I was still living in Berlin had a really cool exercise that I did until I moved away. It was, you go into a bus or wherever, and you
Mhm.
start a conversation with the person next to you.
Yeah.
And most of the time at 6 a.m. in the morning, people don't want to talk with you. And the idea is you start the conversation, you get rejected,
Mhm.
and then you sit with it. You just sit there knowing this person just doesn't want to talk with you, and then you just let this be okay, and just get out of the bus after it. So it sounds scary and sounds hard, but you actually notice that this person not wanting to talk with you doesn't change anything. The bus will arrive, you will still in a complete human, worthy human being, and the rest of the day just continues. So this is one thing that I still do very often. I put myself into difficult social situations where I feel this pressure just to essentially become more used to it. So this getting the no is not so difficult to accept.
Exactly. That's a very good exercise. And I also say to my clients, you have to, it's a difference between what's dangerous and what's uncomfortable. So it's uncomfortable, but it will take you somewhere. It will help you to build your confidence. It will help you to like build connections. It will help. It's not dangerous. So you have to split those two. But it's uncomfortable. Yes, in the beginning it's uncomfortable, but then you get used to the rejections and you see that it doesn't affect you. So it's a very good exercise indeed.
And I'm curious now. We talked about how introverts can become a little bit more comfortable, how we can get comfortable with rejection a little bit more. Now I want to go into maybe some tips or maybe some more concrete exercises. So what are some of your top tips that you are sharing with your clients so they get good at selling and they get more comfortable with rejections or just with this tension that you sometimes feel when you're in a sales call?
I say to my clients three things. First, you have to prepare. So whenever you have, let's say you're having a sales call, before a sales call, you should know everything there is to know about who you're talking to. Because good sellers are always prepared. They've seen your content, they've seen like who's commented, they know what you are and who you are, what you do. So always be prepared. Do not show up to a call without being prepared and know who you're talking to on the other end. So that's the first thing. The second thing is practice. So you should practice your speech before, let's say you're having your first sales call then. Practice your speech, practice your introduction, practice what kind of objections you're going to get. And like say it out loud, because when you say it out loud, you can hear yourself, right? And then repetition. So you just create your own routines that works for you, and you should repeat that every single time. So before every sales call, you have to prepare. And for every sales call, you have to practice, and you have specific questions you want to ask to get the people on the other end to talk about themselves. Ask questions. Open and questions like how, why, like stuff like that. Not questions that makes the client say yes or no.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think I shared this the last time that with my first business partner, we had this deal that they call me and I have to introduce myself, and I call them and they have to introduce themselves. So we practice our pitch all the time. This is another one of these very simple practices, how you can actually implement this every day. But now I'm curious, actually, when you're preparing for a sales call, what are you looking for? What are the specifics?
What I'm looking for, like first of all, I always qualify my leads before I have them on the sales call, and I always so I know that the client or prospect that I'm talking to is suitable for my program, because I do not work with everybody. So that's the first step. And the second step, when I first am in the sales call, I take the lead. That's very important. I take the lead. I know, I may make the client or the prospect feel like they are in control, but I'm completely in control in what kind of questions I ask. And I'm completely prepared in what kind of objections that are coming. So my goal is just to like see if like how motivated are this client? Are we a fit for each other? And to take it from there, basically, because like I said, I always qualify my leads before, so I know that they could fit my program. But is this a client I want to work with as well? Because not everybody is very good clients, to say at least.
Yeah.
But I'm looking for what are the pains? What are they looking for? So I always have good quality questions that I ask, and then I come in with my pitch, because I rarely speak. I only ask questions. Let the client speak. Let the client speak. Let the client speak. At the end of the call, I say, "Well, I've heard enough. So this is my program. This is what we do. Are you in? Are you out?"
What are the 3 or 4 questions that you basically always ask on a call?
Like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? You always ask questions that are relevant to their emotions, because they are always after results. I always ask them about what kind of expectations do you have? What kind of expectations do you have to my program? What kind of expectations do you have to me as a coach? What do you hope for to be the end result? Where do you want to be in 5 years? What are you aiming to be able to do after you ended my course? How do you want to feel? So I always touch about where they want to be, because they, like a client, always they buy a service or a product to either make them feel something or a result. So you always have to touch upon those feelings or the result or the end goal. So that's what really quality sellers do. They have questions prepared to touch upon those feelings or desired results.
I really love this. One thing that I'm often amazed about is not only the clarity that you have, but how many very successful coaches and sellers have this clarity on exactly who they want to work with and how they actually identify them. Can you tell us, how can coaches develop this clarity about their business to understand, this is the type of client that I want to work with, and this is maybe a client that isn't really a good fit?
You have to be very specific about who you serve and what the problem is, and how are you going to help them. So in my case, I only help those who are either selling or aiming to sell high tickets. I also only are helping coaches and service providers. So if you're not selling high tickets, if you're not a coach or service provider, my program is not for you. So I have a sheet that I send to each person who are joining my wait list. So they have to fill out this form, and if they do not answer the right questions, then we're not the right fit for each other. So I think that saves so much time before you spend your time on that consultancy, like the sales call, really.
Yeah, and I mean, for everyone who's watching this, if this wasn't just confidence, if you're not answering the questions in the way that I want, then you're not a good fit for me. And I mean, this is the confidence that we are after. I mean, we are investing our time in a client as well. And if we are sitting there, oh, please, if you may, please show me that I'm worthy. Or if you're sitting there So if you're not ready to put in the work for 90 days, then I will invest my time in somebody else. And that is so crucial, and that is so important, because it has one key idea at the bottom, that there are enough clients for you.
Exactly.
There are always another client waiting for you to work. You mentioned this cheat, and I know you have a business plan for everyone who's wanting to join your waiting list. How can this business plan help people to develop this clarity of their message and develop the confidence and even the sense of, if you're not a good fit for me?
Well, my business plan, it really helps people to be specific about who they are. They're going to, like, you have to define your values, your like mission, everything. Then you go into how you're going to get the money in. So who are you serving? What are the other problems they are having? What is your solution? So you have to be very specific about your solution. I was watching a live today as well, and they said, like, so could you just introduce yourself? And I was like, I'm a mindset coach and I help people with a mindset. It's like, okay, what does that mean? So my business plan is like designed to be more specific than that. So you have to be really drill down in what, like, how are you going to solve their problems, and what are their problems. And it also helps you to be very clear about who you are as a person, your character, because that really reflects how you're selling, right? So it's very useful.
Yeah, and what I like about these thought exercises and business plans is also, if you're not sure what you're offering, you can't be confident about it. Like, so yeah, I'm doing nutrition coaching and I'm essentially working with everybody. This is like, yeah, I don't know. And this also then comes down to questions like, how do I actually program something if I'm trying to accommodate essentially weightlifters and new moms who want to lose weight. So
Yeah.
this clarity of, this is who I want to work with, this is what I do, and I know I'm the best person to do this. This is so important. So for everyone who's interested in this business plan, please check out the link and check out Hilde's waiting list. One final question.
Yeah.
If you have one tip, one final big tip, the magic formula for everyone who's sitting there, yeah, I kind of feel like, yeah, that's good, but still hesitant. What is your push through, go getter, let's go tip or motivational quote for the people who are still, yeah, I don't know if I really can do it?
Oh, it was hard. One tip: if you are really hesitant to get out there, like, my best tip is just to try to be very, take it as a simple step, and like book like a call, maybe to a friend. Then if you're too scared of even booking a Zoom call with a stranger, book a call with a friend just to present yourself. I promise you, it will help you so much to see that it's not dangerous. It's not dangerous at all. And then next step, maybe a stranger, like that. And next step, maybe alive, right? So just take it gradually, like that. But do it in a way. But again, your business rely on your ability to sell. So just find your way to make it as smooth as possible, and you will quickly see that it's not dangerous.
Yeah, and I like how you bring the idea of the business in, because one of the key questions that I like to ask is this: what happens if you're not doing it? So you are essentially confronted with the idea of, I will never get my business off the ground. I will never turn my passion into anything. I will forever think, oh, I should have.
Yeah.
And you're probably, if you're many coaches that are following me, you're stuck with the job that you actually not really like and want to do something different just because you're too scared to ask somebody for a call or to just DM somebody and see what happens. You give up the rest of your life and your passion.
Yeah, I completely agree. That's a very good point. And like, what's the worst that can happen? Like, what's the worst that can happen? You get a no. Okay, move on. At least you tried. And if you try again, you will get like you can see that it doesn't bother you that much, right?
And the other part is people will be annoyed, maybe if you're doing this, but I promise you, if you ever practiced talking to strangers in a bus or in a train, people are annoyed by so many things, and they might even be annoyed just because they have to sit in a train.
That's true.
So
and people are annoyed all the time.
Whatever you do, some people,
yeah.
Some people will be annoyed. Some people will enjoy the conversation. Either way, please check out Hilde's business plan. The link is in the description. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or to Hilde, or just leave the question in the comments below. Have a great day. And Hilde, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.